Hello and welcome to this continuing first look exploring session looking at Change is No Robbery, the Cuckqueans and Cuckolds Errants, or the Bearing Down the Inn, whichever title that William Percy obviously couldn't be asked to choose between. This is a play with many titles and many issues dancing around them, which we're going to try and unpack today. We're looking at Act 4 and 5 today. We're going to be going at them at the reasonable lick, as we've got quite a lot of text that we're trying to cram into one session. So reading today, as we continue our journey to the second half of the play, reading Rafe and Nym is...
Alan, who's trying to remember from last week where we're at.
Yes. Reading Floradin, Pigot and Janekin is...
Hi, I'm Lynn. I'm a college composition teacher in the Northwestern United States.
Reading Olivel, Shift and Joyce today is...
Steve Longstaffe in the northwest of England.
Reading Dowsabella, Hare and Christian today is...
Sarah Blake, actor, writer and director in Germany.
Reading Rook, Latro, Periman and Denham is...
Hello, Dan, actor based in Montpellier, France.
And reading Claribel and Pearl is...
Hi, I'm Emma Kemp. I'm an actor in London.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. We hopefully will have some additional reader joining us shortly, but unfortunately we can't wait any longer on our particular timescale, so hopefully we'll slide them in as we go. So we're going to start with Act 4, Scene 1, for which I am going to ask... Emma, just to be confusingly for this scene, could you read Arvania, please?
Okay.
I will almost certainly swap you round with someone else for that part later on if our additional reader does not appear. But for the moment, if you could read Arvania as we go into Act 4, Scene 1. Enter Arvania and Dowsabella in their riding attires. Attendants 2 in blue and tawny coats. Janekin and Joyce on either side. Dowsabella and her train enter from Malden. Arvania and her train enter from Harwich. They speak aloof.
Thus wars abroad and wars in mind, importune, I leave my home and seek abroad my fortune.
Thus wars in mind and none abroad compels me to seek out one who'll ne'er be found, he tells me.
I had a husband once, but he's bereft me.
I had a husband once, but he has left me.
A worse than mine the worldly eye beholds not.
A worse than mine the heavenly cope enfolds not.
He was replete with poison inwardly and filled with pride and rancour outwardly.
Mine was as meek as April outwardly, but full of slights and falsehood inwardly.
Who would have thought fate would have plagued me so?
Who would have thought mingle she would such woe?
Lo, grief will eat me till it burst my heart.
Lo, grief will grip me till I sink and part.
But had I one, like to myself in sorrow, to whom I might unburden all my sorrow.
But had I mine equal mate in fortune, to whom I might unclasp mine equal fortune.
Might win thereby some redress, I trow, to ease these griefs that do torment me so.
I might some consolation reap at least, till these my sorrows were at once redressed.
Yonder comes a lady down the hill, counting her silent steps with numbers still.
And lo, a woeful lady I espy, and sad I ween in gait and sad in eye.
Her woes do much, methinks, resemble mine.
Her griefs, Dowsabella, swerve not much from thine.
I will prevent her in saluting first.
I will prevent her in saluting first.
Lady, you be well encountered. Hail unto yourself, and a good God morrow unto your goodly company.
Madam, the like to you, and to your company I wish.
If I may be bold, ask, whither be you travelling, I beseech you?
Far as Harwich Cliffs. You, madam?
I to London, certes. For now, here her Majesty's camp is so huge and mighty, I may not abide 1 hour in place, I assure you. What make you then among?
Truth without fraud or dissimulation. My husband left me sole and forlorn at Malden, and hied him hither to hide him from me. So, drawn me after him on wool-gathering in search of him, as now you see me, lady.
And certes mine is fled, I know not whither, too.
He was a man most inly treacherous, I assure you, madam.
My gentleman, let him wag whither he please, in the name of Jehovah, for he was arrayed in fury all, and in inconstancy.
For myself, I was unto him true as touch.
Mine, if anyone might have surpassed him in jealousy, I should have given him the bucklers in that behalf, sure.
Since both the two have been of so evil and hard complexion, why do not we also, our honesties accepted, take hands too, and join in sisterhood both? So up to London, careless, with the speed we may.
Verily, well spoken. Lo, thus I pawn you my sisterhood, lady.
Are you mine?
Here they mutually kiss and curtsy.
This sacred bond to register, say, gentlewoman, shall both us have this night one bed in Colchester?
I agree.
Here they take hands.
In pledge whereof, let's have a song now.
Yes, by my troth. Come on. And by the way, as we travel, let each us tell to each her fortune.
Even so, and shall like you. Begin.
And alternate stanzas start, obviously, Dowsabella.
Stanzas or lines? There's only
Stanzas,
one.
each 4 lines. It's
Oh, okay.
indented.
Oh, yeah, sure. When men once grow weary of love, then they froward and testy prove. Nothing as then may them remove, but that they will forsake their love.
That bond that bound them first together, as soon will both fester and wither. The knot, though hit of gaudium, easy to unbind will then become.
Ladies little may you prevail, 'cause your frigates bonnets to veil, but that they under all they bear, up unto you will turn the rear.
Unmarried maids, give ear to me, what I am to say plain and free. Do you not to your weddings post, lest you will feel them to your cost.
And we'll pause at the end of that scene as they exit. It's a nice little scene where the two ladies meet each other. In this particular instance, of course, they don't know that they are connected to each other in intimate ways, as it were. Briefly, any thoughts on this little scene whilst we get back into the plot? This is the A plot. The two ladies who have their husbands went off to war and or hermitages separately earlier, and they left their homes themselves. Lynn, then Alan.
So this is kind of clever that the mate swapping wives have run into each other and are complaining to one another about their mean, bad, rotten husbands, and claiming, but I was perfect, I was true to him. I know it's supposed to be funny, but I don't find it funny. Just, yeah, I think maybe I'm just too far removed from the values of the time. I just kind of don't find it funny.
Alan.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would work. It would come across more clearly staged, because it's not until about halfway through, or possibly even further into the scene, that the two ladies are actually interacting.
Mm-hmm.
So despite the fact they're echoing lines, it's one downstage left, one downstage right, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, they are aloof. They speak aloof at the top of the scene, and then they see each other and start talking to each other.
Yeah, but that.
And join forces and sing a song together, which because of course if it's a boys' company, so, there's got to be a song. In fact, it's quite early in this act to have a song. Quite unusual. Other thoughts before we move forward? Otherwise, we'll go into our next scene. Act 4, Scene 2. Enter Claribel and Rook.
take my nag, and see you walk him fair and soft to Colchester. Here, unknown, I will lodge this night, and tomorrow I will forward on my journey.
Nay, but does your buck ride hereabout, sir?
No, but my meaning was to travel towards the cliffs of Harwich, where privately I mean hide me, until the time my whole debts be paid, and by the mean my creditors all be satisfied.
Have you allured me forth to this faith, to live with you among cliffs until your whole debts be paid, to be platt and plain with you, conspire against you, sir?
Conspire? As how?
When opportunity shall serve my turn, I will show you a clean pair of legs and run my way.
I so be rid of gallows clapper, my man.
Most adeptly you have prefigured me.
But now interrupt me no more.
Well, sir, since it will be no better with you, God give your worship now good night, and henceforth may many happy day and long.
Prithee, leave thy fooling, and look to my nag, I say. Away, I prithee.
I go.
Now, Claribel, thou art well nigh at the place where, severed from the crews of men, thou mayst in rest and quietness tell all thy days, not unlike to those golden suns of yore, where neither ire doth grin nor hate doth hiss, where neither grief doth lurk nor guile doth wake, where all the woods be whist from my murmur, unless it be that issues from the trees. Ah, happy they that know their good, nor will be led by worldly vanities to leave a golden world for millions of shows. Oh, 3 times happy they that can live so, and of that number to be one I go. Yet I doubt to reach these cliffs tonight, and therefore in this lodge I'll lodge this night. Oh, who's within there?
Enter Olivel.
What lack you, young gentleman?
Harbour, fair forester, in your lodge till morn.
Oh, verily, I can harbour you, but it will be homely for such gentlemen as you be.
Be it so, yes. So lead but the way in, sweet forester.
Before you walk in, sir, one thing I must require of your worship needs.
What is it, fair forester?
That you do keep you close as you may.
Why so, I pray you?
For I've so rude a man to my husband, withal so fierce of condition, that if he but find you here, he will go near tear you into 1,000 pieces for your welcome.
Where's the churl now?
At town, to buy arrows. We'll be here within 1 hour.
If be no other, upon mine own peril be it, honest forester. So lead but the way in, I say.
It's Floradin within, so there's someone who's not on stage at the moment. Floradin, who's Lynn.
Sorry about that. Oh!
Yonder in the luckless hour, he knocks. Haste you in, sweet sir, and hide you.
Where? I prithee, where?
Under the table, behind the cupboard that screen, under the bed, where you think the safest. Haste you in, I beseech you, sir.
Exit Claribel.
Oh!
Enter Floradin and Ralph, or Rafe.
What lack you, gentlemen?
Fair forester, God save. How many mile have I to Kemp, I pray?
As many as there be from thence to Colchester.
How many is that, say you?
10, and shall like you.
Forester, I will but eat one sole bit with you, and then I will incontinently thither this night.
Such as you find, you shall be welcome too.
Beef or bacon, pork or peason, so it be but meat for a soldier, forester.
Better than this, you shall have a pasty of a red deer.
Oh, that's meat for a king, forester. Rafe, you, sir, go tie my nag to the park corner. And when thou hast done so, come thou back and take you someone snatch at a venison pasty, shall be left you, sir.
Someone snatch, I warrant it will be you shall leave me. For this once I will try your manners. You leave anything, so, if not anything, never shall you serve me more so.
Hence you wag.
Oh, Olivel.
Exit Rafe.
My husband! My husband! Oh, good gentlemen, do but shroud you in some place, I beseech you true. He is a lion, I tell you, in his wrath.
If he were 20 lions, I would not budge for him 1 foot, I vow.
I pray, be persuaded. For me, you may hurt, yet do yourself no good.
Well, well, go to then. Come.
Exit Floradin.
Olivel, I say.
Sir, what need this stir? I heard you at first.
Exit Olivel, enter Latro.
Be these your manners not ope when I call? Huh?
Here Floradin and Claribel are at buffets in the dark within.
Thieves, rogues, renegades, villains.
Latro runs unto them, then comes forth again after Floradin and Claribel as they slink forth, followed by Olivel. Enter Hare.
Where? And show light your worship. Where? Where?
There, Hare, there, down with them, down with them.
Well said, sir. Do thresh them thoroughly into dust with your club. Your very good worship, sir.
Latro and Hare scrabble for Floradin and Claribel as though in the dark without, whilst Floradin and Claribel lean with their backs against the wall, quaking and trembling.
Pray be quiet. They be to whom I permitted but lodge in your house until tomorrow morning.
Mass, I cannot yet grope them.
Thou hast brought hither a ruffians to spoil my game and to cut my throat, huh?
No, sir.
Yeah, and yeah, sir.
Before I lead the life to be every day thus abused by thee, knave, I will stick this knife in my heart, lo.
Do and spare not. Do and spare not.
Oh, the Lord forgive me and receive my soul.
Yes, Olivel pretends to stab herself.
And, O thou Lord, forgive me too. I beseech thee. Oh, dolorous fate. Oh, wicked destiny. Olivel is gone, and Latro is left here to wail alone. Hie thee, sweet Hare, and follow me thou to Colchester, incontinent.
Your will be done. I will but go fetch my cap case and come to you straight.
Exeunt Latro and Hare severally.
Eternal Lord, I grant this, my device may luckily sort, by means of the which not only shall I be rid of my barbarous man, but in the counterchange thereof I shall be linked with 2 honourable gentlemen in love. Unhappy me, that ever I was matched.
Enter Hare with a long staff in his hand, a cap case tied about his neck.
Oh, mastermind, that was your crime, to urge your wife thus end her life, the thought whereof has caused me cough. Now farewell, lodge, for I must trudge after my master to Colchester.
Exit Hare.
How do you, gentlemen?
The plague consume him. I was never so afeard of barbarous villain in my life.
The pox to boot. I was ready to forego my skin for fear.
Tarry the whiles. Till that I shall have lighted you a candle, gentlemen.
Olivel exits and re-enters with a candle lighted.
Gentlemen, where be you?
Claribel, my quondam chamber fellow in Broadgate?
What? Floradin?
Here they consider the one the other broad before they speak. Olivel holding up the candle to them over their heads.
How hast done since our departure from Oxford, sirrah?
Thou, whither wert thou wandering?
To Colchester, to the camp, aye.
What hath compelled thee become a soldier, huh?
Marry a green head of mine own, and a naughty wife to boot. But whither thou?
The cliffs of Harwich, there closely to hide me, till that I shall have but sufficiently scoured clean my wife her score, all from off my Peyton knoll, Floradin.
Now, and Hermit, Claribel, since both have tasted one cup, as I perceive we have so done, we will both now taste another, too, and become soldiers both. Sir, shall it be so? Very shortly between the two armies there will be old bickering, Claribel.
Floradin agreed. Solomon miseris sixit habere peres.
Gentlemen, I do well hope you will not leave her behind, who have been so thriftily handselled, but for the lodging you.
How like you the gentlewoman and her motion, Claribel?
Well, but how to provide us arms and liveries? Hoc opus hic labor est.
Since beginning of the world never was lodged yet unfurnished weapons. In token, sirs, of which I can help you to 2 forest liveries, a couple of French calivers with their flasks, and 1 partisan too, and a pair of baldricks and matches likewise.
Dear Forester, do thou but make thee ready, and bring them forth hither to us, incontinent. Meanwhile, with my friend, I will exchange a word or two.
So do.
Exit Olivel.
Now, Floradin, relate to me what have been thy fortunes, faith, since our abodes in Oxford, sirrah.
Since I saw thee, Claribel, I have traversed France and Flanders, Spain and Denmark, Italy and Sicily, High Germany and Low Germany, Sweden, Ireland, Friesland, Iceland, and Greenland. And now, as thou mayest apprehend me, I was going towards Colchester, become a mercenary soldier there. Claribel, thine?
Floradin, since our last breakfast we made in Oxford at the Pelican, I have visited Moldavia and Livonia, Paphlagonia and Silesia, all Barbaria and all Numidia, the East Indies and the West Indies, China, Guinea, Florida, and Brasilia. And now, after sight of the whole world, I was going, as thou sawest, forsake the whole world, Floradin.
Enter Rook and Rafe.
See, our boys come hither, puffing and blowing.
Sirs, assist us. We do beseech you both, your worships both.
Take thy breath to thee, sirrah. Speak and declare.
Well, briefly and succinctly, a couple have robbed both us of your worship's nags. Moreover and above, they have dry salted and sufficiently bombasted us.
To conclude, now we must assist you when our horse be gone?
What manner men were they? Speak, you rogue.
The one, a boar belly, a burly breast, ball-headed, a brown-bearded boar with boisterous, bouncing, big bottle-headed, bow-broken bat on his back.
The other? Quick!
Slender, sly, slim, with china catskin cross-tied knapsack, with crocky, clutchy, copley, clunchy crotchets, clasped through his crupper.
They have reckoned with both, too, for our night's lodging, verily, fellow Floradin.
Whereas we were determined to have been horsemen, they have crossed our determinations and metamorphosed us into footmen. Well, so...
Enter Olivel in man's attire with arms and liveries.
But lo, the fair forester cometh forth with arms and liveries toward us, Claribel.
Gentlemen, now have with you, lo.
Certes, Floradin, she would have proved a proper man.
To have led Hood's squadron about the pole, sure.
Shall we make her our ringleader, Claribel?
Your wrong leader, you should have said, gentlemen.
No, verily. Therefore, Olivel, be thou now our wing leader.
Then, as your ring leader, I do here invest you with your arms and with liveries all.
Olivel gives out weapons and liveries to Floradin and Claribel.
Dispatch, and make you ready all.
With all our hearts, Captain.
Here they make them ready.
Now, as from our only Duke and only General, we do expect your further injunctions and further commandments in this case, Captain ours.
Listen all, first and imprimis. If by the way you shall meet either hen, duck, or goose, you do wring off her neck and do seize your own without honesty or conscience. Item, and again, if you shall come into any man's house, either directly or indirectly, jointly or severally, first lie with the hostess yourself, then with the hostess daughters, then with the hostess maids, without inequality or difference. Item, you shall carry in one of your pockets Geneva Psalms, in the other Lady Matins. If you be taken by Spaniards, you show them Lady Matins, and if by the English, you produce from your Geneva Psalms. A third, finally and lastly, pay not for what you take. Pray not before you rise, nor be you sober when you lie down. Consequently, the rest.
Wholesome injunctions of the devil's own baking, we do assure you, Captain.
All these we will perform and execute to your perfect liking, Captain, and contentment we do assure you verily.
I thank you, my tall soldiers all. So let us now for Colchester all. I do require you all, my true soldiers all.
Lo, you, a most fine army, and a substantial one, too. Gentlemen, all, viewers, by my troth, I do implore you all.
Exeunt Claribel, Floradin, and Olivel.
Wanting either us a staff butt.
Next hedge will furnish either of the two.
Oh, Godspeed the plough.
And they exit. This scene's doing an awful lot of business. We have a mini bedroom farce. So the lady lets them into the house, but she's got a very jealous husband who chases them around in the dark and to the theme tune of Benny Hill, presumably. And then she pretends to commit suicide. I mean, this is quite an extreme household. And then these two meeting up, who haven't met each other for ages, and go, "Oh, it's you!" And of course, they don't know that they've been cuckolding each other either. So they've met up. So a mirror scene to the previous scene, and then they persuade their hostess to kit them out for the army and to join them as their sort of their wing leader. And at which point Olivel sort of delivers a list of typical soldierly type activities or recommendations, some of which are not, it's interesting, the whole thing about carrying your pockets Geneva Psalms and the other Lady Matins. And it's going, well, that's the kind of thing that you might set out for, Ireland during the Troubles. I mean, it's not actually that far removed from the present day in terms of that kind of logic. So there's all sorts of interesting things in this scene. It's packing a lot into one scene because it changes modes in seconds. It's quite difficult to pull off. I mean, there's a lot of complicated stage directions there, which I suspect there's an awful lot of direction to make that work. Kind of thing I think boys' companies are probably better at than playhouse companies. Alan. Yeah,
there's also those two horrible tongue twisters in the middle of it for the two lads. Those I suspect were put in there as a sort of showy offy piece. The other interesting one that just struck me is the final line from Rook, "Godspeed the plough." That is actually the title of the regimental march of the Suffolk Regiment.
Interesting cross over thing. We've got the two. One's a true tongue twister. Rafe gets the true tongue twister as something that switches modes between things, whereas Rook gets the straightforward alliteration of all the B's. But Rafe gets a proper tongue twister there.
I noticed.
Just on a technical level there. That's doing tongue twisty things. So that's one for the warm up list, isn't it? To throw into the mix. No Dr. Zeus for the warm up this week. Other thoughts before we move on, Lynn?
I was a little surprised that Olivel decided, "Oh, I'm going to leave my husband and go with you guys." 'Cause why? I mean, what I missed?
She doesn't like her husband.
Obviously.
Basically.
But it's kind of like, oh, well, I got to leave now, but nothing happened between them. So it's.
Well, I'd say that her husband, having believed that something has gone on between her and the guests, and she then pretends to commit suicide. He then does a runner because assuming he's going to get blamed. So I mean, it sort of all makes sense. It's just happens so quickly.
Yeah.
It's not like the problem we've been having with another play recently where we're going, why is any of this happening? There are reasons why things are happening here. It's just this is a whole play. This is an entire bedroom farce in 5 minutes. So yeah. Any other thoughts before we complete the act? No. Okay. Act 4, Scene 3 then. We're returning to the reprobates of the bowl-stealing fraternity. Act 4, Scene 3. Enter Nym, Shift, and Pigot.
Mine host Pigot, since thou hast attached our bowl into thy hands, as pawn for the reckoning, behold, we do now charge thee thou do keep it, as thou wouldst keep thy soul, Pigot.
Gentlemen, by the faith of an honest man, I do here protest to you both I will keep him sure, nay, so that if according to your own bond you bring me not in my money within 1 month and 1 day, all the gins and crotchets in your head shall not once be able to pick him forth my catskin's chest there.
I thank you, mine host. Oh, I thank you.
It's that conscience, Duke. Detain our boat worth £20 sterling for some little scurvy meat and drink not worth 40 shillings, huh?
Old saw and true saw, quis nisimentis inops oblatum resquit aurum.
The application is false. Thou seest, our bowl is silver, not gold, Apuleian.
By that illogical gin eclipt conversio, I will make him whole. For it shall convert the silver in your bowl into gold in my pouch.
Into aurum potabile, thou meanst.
That is already done, and to you both your costs too, gentlemen, I do assure you.
But if we shall bring thee thy money within 1 month and 2 days, wilt then deliver us our bond, Pigot?
Beshrew the blood of my veins, then a cava then.
Doubt on thee, dog, there is neither equity nor reason within thee.
Equity, none. Reason, some. For put the case, sir, you should bring me my money within 1 month and 2 days, and so forfeit your bond. If I thereupon should deliver you your bowl, you might so beg me a fool. Now, to be begged a fool in a parish where these 30 years long I have been a reputed knave, I see neither reason nor policy in it.
Nay, then do thy worst, Pigot. Pearl shall abate the edge of thy reason with the blunt of his law, to assure thee true.
If you have anything to say to him, lo, here he comes, gentlemen.
Mine host, now I do remember me.
Then if it be so, sirs, stand close, I say, but temper your human properties all now. Come.
Pigot, Nym, and Shift step back. They withdraw. Enter Sanders, Pearl, Periman, and Wright. So, now, forward with your argument, Master Pearl.
Thus I do infer that my wife hath no soul in her. Where there is no head, there is no soul. But in my wife there is no head, ergo, in my wife there is no soul.
By way of argument shall see him prove his wife to be a she-monster, Pigot.
Peace for the passion of our Lord God of hosts, and let us hear forth his argument. Peace.
Hath your wife never a head, Master Doctor? I pray you, how prove you your minor?
If my wife had ever a head, I should be said to be her head, but ex repugnabitus, it is impossible that my head should be my wife's head, and that mine own head should be my own head, simul. Ergo, my wife hath never a head, so, by the consequence, she hath no soul.
Excellent, by our Lord God of heaven.
Sir, by your patience and leave, there be 3 souls, as the philosophers do affirm in a man, a reasonable soul, a sensitive soul, and a nutritive soul, whereof your worship, Master Dr. Pearl, may very well in conscience take a couple to yourself and leave a 3rd to your wife.
How many souls your wife have, I know not. But for the sensitive soul, I'm sure she hath it. She hath tasted the style of your tongue so thriftily today, Master Doctor.
I do maintain it, lo, against both you two. Now, she hath not any one of the three within her now. So for first, for a reasonable soul, if that she had reason, she would never have lost so worthy a bowl. Secondly, for a sensitive soul, she is such a vixen that what with fighting, what with whining, and what with biting, she will be out her 5 senses at one and same time. I do tell you it most true, sirs, both.
Now, for the other, Master Doctor.
Now, for a nutritive soul, she hath, for be it spoken among friend here, as much nurture in her as has my great and black sow over her draughting trough. So, never a soul.
Where should these 3 souls naturally have their coexistence then? Master Doctor, I pray.
In mine own pate, to wit, whence totally do proceed all my wife's understanding, also her sense, as also her good education to mend her ordinary, over and above.
Learnedly.
Sir, I wonder at your erudition.
Well, now if your worship could give me but your leave to come upon you myself, who am, as Chaucer very adeptly have applied it, a lewd man, put you the case that these, the 3 souls, as you said, consistent solely in your worship's pate, albeit your wife never had a headpiece, yet she might very well have had 2 souls in a body, nempy under her 2 feet ergo.
I prithee, fellow, be quiet, and show not thy illiterature. For by same reason, she might also have had 1/2 dozen more beside in her kitchen that be now providing for my dinner.
Enter Christian in her best gown. And lo, where she comes upon her 2 souls, underlaid with a couple other souls, pert as a pie.
Sir, speak mildly to her. I do earnestly beseech you, sir.
Woman, hear'st thou me? If thou bringest not my bowl along with thee, come not within 7 perch of me. I do admonish thee.
Then boldly may I come, Clip, my lord and love, for his bowl is found.
Found? That's an own duck, i' faith. How, say?
It was but a device of Master Sanders to put your worship in a chafe.
What, you, Master Sanders, stole my bowl?
Not I, as I shall be saved, sir.
I'm off the gallows.
Or way I have been held a true man, not a thief.
Master Sanders, never deny it now. Did not you, your own self, send for the Hare, saying you would dine with him at home, and there you would laugh a good at the jest?
Not I, as I shall be saved, Master Doctor.
Therefore hast put thy holiday gown on. Now come dine with us, huh?
Why, aye.
Wolf, whore, hare, bitch, polecat, carrion, kite, mare.
I require your worship, before you enter further collar, you should but pay me that money you owe me now I might be gone.
Thou mayst be gone, for I owe thee no money now.
None, sir?
None.
Speak once more, I beseech you. Do you owe me no money indeed, La?
None, 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 I say.
If there be any law in Colchester, I will make you say aye before you have done with you, till when I leave you. Lo, exit right.
Cup and venison gone? Oh, Maria Neptune!
Makes the strike Christian.
Master Sanders, do but keep him off me, I do beseech you true.
Master Doctor, continue, I beseech you.
Now I can no longer hold, therefore I am not to be holden.
Help, gentlemen, help! He will butcher me, I avow.
Nay, nay, cry and spare not, cry and spare not.
Christian flies towards the exit and Pearl pursues her.
Follow, Master Sanders. Follow. He will tear the woman to pieces. Lo.
Christian attempts to fend off Pearl.
Aye, aye, scratch, you were best.
My God, my God, my God.
Ho, 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 ho!
Good
Master Doctor.
Good Master Doctor. Good Master
Good
Doctor.
Master Doctor.
Get in, baggage, get in, I say.
Exeunt Pearl and Christian with Periman and Sanders following.
Follow, sirs. We lose not the whole sport before there be got in at door.
Well said, gentlemen. While you two go before, I will run in and halloo and raise the street.
Most excellent, I assure you.
As I have seen.
Haste ya?
And you.
Exeunt severally, Nim and Shift following Pearl and Christian. Here they knock up the consort and close Act 4. Wow, Pearl just gets better and better, doesn't he? And we have an entire scene of Pearl demonstrating his misogyny in great detail in the nature of his philosophy, and then we get a repetition of the trying to take out his wife scene. Which, if anything, it just gets worse each time. I mean, it's just awful. And the really depressing thing about this is, I'm sure the audience reaction and the expected audience reaction was to find this hilarious. Which is really just so depressing. And yeah, there's not much one we can do about that. Any of that. That's just sort of there. It started well. I like the beginning of the scene, the Nim and Pigot stuff, and that was all right. Sarah.
The other thing I found really disturbing about that was just the end there with Nim and Shift and Pigot, like the fact that they're just watching this, and I mean, they are the ones that have caused this. Well, not Pigot, but Shift and Nim. They're the ones that have caused this to happen because they stole the bowl and they were the ones who lied to her, and they're just kind of watching it and going, "Oh, come on, let's keep up because we don't want to miss the sport." And it's so distressing. I really like. I know there's a history of, like, you know, clowns being beaten that we're supposed to find funny. I don't tend to find it funny, but I'm aware that it is supposed to be funny. But with this, I don't even know what you could do with this for a modern audience. You can't. You just have to cut it out. It's dead in the
water. It's utterly dead in the water.
It's just awful.
Lynn.
Well, yeah, basically that. I mean, not only is Pearl just off the rails, but Shift and Pigot and Nim consider it like comedy. You know, it's we'll miss the game, we'll lose the sport if we don't follow them. I mean there's a very old tradition of this. Punch and Judy, it's very old, right? I mean, that's a medieval those are medieval characters, basically. But even in most iterations of Punch and Judy, it's mutual to a certain extent. Judy fights back. And this is not that. Yeah. Yikes.
I mean, we've got certainly, and going back to medieval and Tudor comedy, we've got plenty of knockabout comedy where people are physically violent within a context but it's not often that it is quite so one-sided and so loaded. Again, we were talking about the nature of the loaded dialogue. Just Pearl just repeating the word whore constantly, and as well as the other invectives that he's throwing around. I mean, and again, as I say, the most depressing thing is you've got characters within the scene who are supposed to find this hilarious, but also the audience is clearly expected to find this hilarious. The fact that there is a watching audience within the scene is to a degree supposed to be a force multiplier. It's supposed to be them laughing at the thing happening while everybody is laughing at the thing that's happening, going, "Look, we did this," and that's supposed to be making it funnier. Which, as I say, it isn't. I mean, for all we know, it didn't work at all and everyone hated it, but I suspect not. Sarah?
Yeah, I said at the end of the last session that I was really interested in the difference in the power dynamics in this play, because in the A plot, Dowsabella and Arvania, they seem to be equal with their husbands. Everybody is cuckolding everybody else, and there's this swapping going on, and so the balance of power between the men and the women seems to be more or less equal, which is interesting. And then you've got this subplot where clearly it isn't, and I'm now just wondering if maybe he put that subplot in as a sort of sop to the elements in the audience who actually might be upset about the A plot, the fact that the women and the men, it's not just the men cuckolding the women, cheating on the women, it's the women cuckolding the men. It's like there is this kind of equality kind of going on, this weird kind of equality, but that, there is this kind of balance in the A plot. And I'm now wondering if this is like a sort of, I don't know, some sort of device to, pull back the element of the audience that actually wouldn't feel comfortable with that. I mean, I don't know, but it just occurred to me that might be why it's here, because, yeah.
Oh, if I thought that Percy was being that sophisticated or depressing. I'm starting to wonder whether what we were detecting in the A plot is necessarily doing what we were discussing last time, because we'll see where it goes. Anyway, we've been depressed enough. Let's go to Act 5. There's nothing more depressing than trying to do comedy. Act 5, Scene 1. I'll ask Emma to continue reading Arvania. I think the doubling is fine for this scene. Act 5, Scene 1. Enter Arvania and Dowsabella hand in hand, their men and maids, Janekin and Joyce attending them.
Trust me, madam, the sad tale of your fortune with admiration hath struck me dumb. And were it not we be so nigh to town, in recompense I could repeat you mine, that be not far inferior in woe. But tell me, madam, what's the shield you bear against the injuries of so vile a man?
Carelessness secure, to the which adjoins him, a mind most patient in these extremes.
I will show you a better, sweet lady.
What? Say.
When time convenient and place permitteth you, fully you would serve him the like measure.
I believe you, certes, and since that I may not recall him, mean to practice with it. But lo, madam, we be at Colchester.
Enter Latro.
But who is he cometh from the Tarleton?
A stranger like ourselves he seems to be.
A proper man, I do assure you firmly.
True, believe me, withal well favoured.
He seemeth to be master of the inn.
Rather to be a man of Mars, his kin.
A taller man I ne'er beheld, assure you.
A better set, I know not where to show you.
See you not what brawns and bones he hath?
He, by the shoulders, all I've seen overpeereth.
Of such goodly joints ne'er king Saul hath been.
Such well-compacted limbs I ne'er have seen.
Alcides might be deemed a dwarf to him.
From head to sole in every part and limb.
I will salute him now. God save you, sir.
The like salutation to you, say we.
Oh, fair ladies, and you, if I may demand, whither be you travelling thus untimely?
Toward London, for we played the slugs this morn before we parted from our inn. We could not but reach Colchester this night.
Truly, ladies, I am sorry for you. For what for soldiers, what for passengers, you'll not be lodged this night. One bed I have, which shall be yours. For know you, honored ladies, till few storms be blown that have this night beset the pricking closure of my conscience, I closely do abide in Colchester.
What storms, I pray you? Or why do you weep?
A case that happened me, not hence once hour, rings floods of brimish stones from my eyes.
Sir, relate your griefs, for not to any you may repeat them in griefs be nearer.
Renew not of my woes the memory. Me may you hurt, but do yourselves no gree.
No, our ears to hear of woe take pleasure, whose woes all woes exceed in greatest measure.
If you will, faithfully, promise me both to tell me yours, I'll tell you mine.
We do.
Faithfully mine, I do assure you both.
Ours in like
sort, we do assure you too.
Then, if so you accepted of it, dear ladies, turn each other's fortune.
Sadly, I'm going to ask you, Latro, to do that one again because we lost you your connection briefly. So just do that speech again, please.
Then, if so you accept of it, dear ladies, Firstly, I will bestow the supper on you. That done, accordingly, we will repeat by mutual turn each other's fortune.
So, sir,
All thanks, fair ladies, for your kind acceptance. And first, I'll be your guide into your inn.
And we'll attend you both.
And they exit. So, Alan,
I'm confused.
are you confused?
Yes, because Latro was the forester.
Yes.
Pigot is the landlord of the Tarleton.
He might be the landlord of the Tarleton, but
Well, he was so described earlier.
yeah, but Latro is I think the correct character for this scene. It's definitely not the other one. Whether he's actually the landlord or if he's just staying in the tavern. I don't think he's actually the landlord here. Unless he's the he owns the land or something. It's all on the landlord's leasing it off him or something along those lines. But no, he's sorry, I think he's just passing through.
So mistaken identity by the ladies.
I say I wasn't detecting a mistaken identity from it per se.
Well, they think he's mine host of the inn.
I didn't really detect that bit. I'm sorry, but anyway, I don't detect that anywhere myself, unless I missed that bit. I think they're just meeting at the inn, aren't they?
Well, they
like the look of him. Anyway, that's the important thing.
Yes, I mean, I must admit, I was thinking he could be renamed Mellors.
Yeah, so they both quite like the look of Latro, who obviously is on the run from his wife, who's just as far as he's concerned killed himself, and they have tales of woe to tell one another. So that's what's going on there. Any thoughts in the room on that scene, Sarah?
Just to support Alan there, I did have a line. He seemeth to be master of the inn. So I don't know. Maybe it just means he's the most handsome guy at the inn.
Yeah. Anyway, whether they mistake him for that or not, I don't think it's going to fundamentally matter too much. We need to move on to what happens next. So we've got some more comedy business. I'm just double checking the doubling as we go ahead. I think we're okay. Act 5, Scene 2. Enter Pigot with Nym and Shift dressed like two sergeants.
Come, gentlemen, come, muster yourselves, and as he comes this way anon towards his ordinary, see you arrest him, sure, in Wright the goldsmith's name. I have a mad device in him, gentlemen, as you shall well understand in time to come. Oh, 3 knaves do make up a sheath of a tunbrid dagger, they say. Come.
Capuzum, mine host.
I'd rather you'd said Captum Surum, mine host. But now, embattle yourselves, and sirs, hear you me both. If he will not yield him to you willingly, see you put him down by the collar.
So and shall like you. But prithee, what gallant gentlewoman were those that lighted the line in tonight, Pigot?
Procul dubio, I ken them not.
But wherefore do they talk so suspiciously with the keeper by the fireside, Pigot?
Quod super nos nihil ad nos. What is above my nose is not on my very nose. Verily, I sent it not.
Yet if with good thou lookst into it, lest thou purchase to thyself the never to be chewen name of board, Pigot.
Lord, lo. I do even belch him. None dare be bold, commit like pollution in my house. The Tarleton of Goodman Pigot of Colchester is an academy of manners, gentlemen.
Oh, yes, so it would appear by thy device, anon.
Videlicet.
Enter Pearl with a link before him.
But behold him coming, I will leave this now to both your agilities, the rest of mine own understanding thereupon.
So, and shall like you, mine host Pigot.
Exit Pigot.
Sir, a shift. How shall we two, with the best cunning we have, shift us about him now?
Briefly thus. Whilst he's in height of his meridian, otherwise as he is gaping take-rats, shall first cunningly tack about him and take him by the pole, whilst I then run before him, take full wonder of him, and stop his mouth.
Excellent good. And lo, thus I shift about him, shift.
And thus, lo, I oppose him, Nim.
Hold up thy link, knave. Hold up thy link, I say. I may observe the state of the welkin. Rain or no rain, huh?
Rain, sir. Withal, we arrest you, sir.
Hold, knaves, hold. I am Dr. Pearl. Knaves, hold.
Then, Dr. Pearl, by name I arrest you. In Wright, the goldsmith's name. Lo, and see, we do entreat you both.
Why so, I beseech you?
Nim and Shift lay hold upon him.
Ah!
Why, sir, for a standing bowl you are not yet paid him for.
Help!
Thou shalt along with us, in spite of that throat of thine, I do swear by Jove.
Help! Neighbours! Help!
He struggles to escape their grasp.
Down with him, down with him. And if he but mutter, give him a cuff on the mouth, Shift.
Peace, you rogue, else we'll make this thy head a windball to our fists. Straight!
I have done, gentlemen, I have done. See? Help, neighbours, help! For the passion of our Lord of God of hosts, help!
Enter Pigot.
What a rout have we here at my door? Who's he calls for help, huh?
An obstinate fellow will not obey the Queen's arrest, sir. See?
Master Peril, I'd rather you had given me a whole butt of your sherry sack than I should have taken you in this taking. What's the matter, say?
A goldsmith made him a standing bowl, and now he will neither pay him his money for it, nor yet will obey the arrest of the Queen. See?
I never received any. And do you think I will pay for that I never took?
Not for that thou takest. Sirs, let me see if I may be so. I take up the matter between you now. Honest fellows, will each of you take an angel apiece, and so dismiss his worship? Say.
Do you takers be such varlets? We will infringe the Queen's injunctions for 20 shillings? Ye shall crack the costards of our credits, I assure you.
Gentlemen, yet be it so.
By no mean. Therefore, once more we arrest him. Lo!
Say, will each of you take a brace of angels then apiece, and be gone?
Not a million shall redeem him. Wherefore, once more, in God's blessing and in the Queen's, we charge him obey and go along with us.
Master Doctor, will you suffer you to be tawed like a bear thus? But for 2 brace of angels, sir, let me rule you, I beseech you now.
Yet, let them but lay one finger on me if they dare.
Remember, sir, you be in debt, and if once you be clapped up, you'll be but dead, daw, you know.
Good cheap, as thou mayst, mine host, yet.
Let me alone with them, gentlemen. Yet once more, let me be in private talk with you, faith.
Say your mind. It'll be to no purpose, we assure you.
Pigot, Nim, and Shift withdraw.
Now, whilst I have the leisure and opportunity, I will propound to you a fearful vision I had this last night in my sleep. For so I shall pass away the better the apprehension of this cross hath befallen me. Methought, during dawning of the day, when dreams proceed forth the gate of horn, as I was pacing on a green, I was suddenly metamorphosed into a golden gander, and methought, whilst I was playing, as the manner of my fellow geese is, the astrologer, 2 devils in the likeness of 2 weasels came to carry me to hell, accusing me not only had I pried too near into God's privity, but that also I had eaten a whole bushel of oats, as I had not yet paid him for. Now, whilst thus they were both towing me to the ghastly gates of Dis, methought there came to me a dog, as should be mine host there, and offered each of them, if so they would but let me go, a golden feather of my wing to carry as a peace offering to Proserpina. But for her majesty's lawful favour herein, so that much coil and do there was about it before they could come to any agreement. Finally, whilst they were but as yet debating the matter, with the noise they made all about me, I woke, and how it will yet prove, I know not.
Pigot, Nim, and Shift come forward.
For 40 shillings, were we willing to dismiss his worship?
Master Doctor, a brace of angels from you, and 'tis a bargain.
Too much it is on my conscience, Master Pigot.
Too little it is on my conscience, Master Doctor.
But will they let me go, think you, on the receipt of them?
If your worship will not credit them, you may depose them both in my hands for your better security.
Be it so. Do you hear, fellows? Conditionally, you molest me not more, lo you, a 2 brace of angels deposed in my host hands for your gentle permissions in the case. So be you both packing, I pray.
God save your worship's life, Master Doctor.
Sir, will you but not bestow on them the wine before you part, sir, also?
Shall I give wine to knaves for abusing me? It will not be for my worship, Pigot.
On my salvation, they have but dealt most uprightly with your worship. Therefore be it so, I pray you.
Fellows, on request of this honest man here, I have a certain quart to bestow on you besides. So, Godspeed you both.
Why do we thank your good worship for it?
Exuent, Pearl, and Nim, and Shift.
These 40 shillings,
Snap hands to his pouch here.
I will reserve them here, lo, for that they do owe me now. And that is the mad device, gentlemen, I told you all while ere, I do assure you verily. So the Lord God of heaven bless them too now, and I do beseech the Almighty Lord.
And they exit. So yeah, we've got a shakedown going on here. I think, shall we just briefly talk about what the hell is Pearl doing with his random open mic bit in the middle? Stephen put it in the chat. I mean, it's like I've been left alone, so I will now read my dream diary to the audience. I mean, it's so weird.
Weird.
Was I missing something there? Lynn, then Sarah.
My first thought was that this is part of the training of a young actor who shows some talent. We're going to give him a short monologue so that he has the stage by himself, and we'll see how that works, if he can command the audience's attention, memorize a little speech, something like that. She's part of actor training.
Sarah.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but that actually makes a lot more sense than what I was going to say, which was like maybe they had a boy who was just like particularly like favored or something, and they wanted to give him a little turn. But actually, if it was training, that would make more sense, because I'm like, what? It's like he breaks the fourth wall and just goes into stand-up mode, and it's very weird.
And it's not unlike because the audience relationship in this play is weird, because they do directly say, "Hi, audience," at various points. They go, "Yes, hello, gentlemen." So when they do asides and soliloquies, so it's not completely out of step with the sort of cabaret-ness of some of this play, which we sometimes get with some of them, some Marston plays at about the same time. And I'm just wondering if that's sort of part of the thing, is that this is what boys' companies can do. I don't know. Stephen?
Is it also just a really cack-handed way of giving Pigot time to talk the others round? So it's I need to talk to these people. Okay, what shall I do? Takes out piece of paper from pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like those sort of vamping scenes that which is what Waiting for Godot is basically entirely constructed out of, and this is one of them. Lynn.
Yeah, but that's not really necessary. I mean, they could have, sort of negotiated. Will you take a shilling to let him go? Will you take an angel to let him go? We take two. We take two apiece. Okay, two apiece. A bargain. So that's not even that. That's a thought, but it's not necessary. We don't really need that.
Anyway, we'll need to go on in a moment, but Sarah first.
Well, I was just going to say as well, if that's what it is, and you wanted to kind of just like create a little interlude to entertain the audience while time passes, like the last thing you want to do is tell them your dream. I mean, seriously, the minute anyone says, "Oh, let me tell you my dream," it's like everybody in the audience is just going to go, "Oh, switch off."
Stephen.
I don't generally do this, but I have looked ahead slightly, and the next scene may have a connection because there's some dreamy stuff happening there. So maybe we'll know more after the next scene.
Also, having read ahead, I'm going to say that if we're talking about scenes that might be there just for structural reasons to split action apart, that also might be what's about to happen next. But who knows whether it has any plot significance as we go into Act 5, Scene 3. Enter Joyce and Janekin.
Janekin, whilst our two sweet gentlewomen sit telling tales with the gentleman by the fireside, what shall we two chat on to drive away drowsiness? Say.
Mary, I will tell thee a dream I had as I sat nodding in the chimney corner by them, sweet Joyce.
Come on, by my troth, and I will tell thee a dream I had likewise, as I sat slumbering on a 3-foot by Janekin.
Though I never read Artemidorus of Dreams, Joyce, I may chance to show thee a shrewd meaning of thy dream, I trow.
And I, in good sadness, lo, for I have haunted a wise woman of our parish in Malden, that taught me the spell of every each of them, by my troth. Begin thine, I prithee.
Here they sit both on the long form.
Methought as I slept, I saw 2 curs tugging a bear contrary way, about 2 morsels of flesh he had taken from them aforce. And methought, whiles the butchers came about them and stave them asunder, the dogs tore from off the bear a certain putidilous and ill-favored dependence stuck close to his cods, which the butchers that stinted the fray threw back into the mouth of the bear himself, then restored to either their cur, either their morsel, so that with the noise they made about it, I awoke.
I conjecture by the premises, Janekin, some knights of the assassins or other shall be bereft of some of their 2 bouncing bells duns by some base intruder. And they, in the end, with much ado, shall recover their own from him and throw the intruder his own self-property, plucked from him, into his face for his labour.
Nay, mine honest Joyce, I suppose rather they shall retort him, and it with reproach, some privy income they had held from him, for some privy tenancies he holds likewise from them by force tyrannical, and the which privy income he, with 2 other incomes again from himself, shall requite them back with scorn by their 2 attorneys, and with rent doubled in them to both their faces, I suppose. Now thine, I beseech thee, Joyce.
Methought, as I slept, I saw a dirty beggar that had purchased a brace of puddings to himself, and there came upon him a couple of carters to take them from him, who, either of them giving him the double twine or twist of the whip over his shoulders for his labour, took the puddings from him, and so stinted him of his puddings. So, as with the loud double yard, he made after them again with the same double whip to take to them again their puddings. With a pox, I awoke.
By the 2 puddings, I make my conjecture. This beggarly base rascal has stolen 2 their jade carts, and that he, albeit they had purchased him the double twine or twist over both shoulders for his labor, yet he, with a crack of the rope into several leashes or twists, gave them back their own, and so departed.
Janekin, nay, I will show thee a better interpretation than so, sure. As the wise woman told me, puddings signify stuffings. He'd stolen some certain pair of breeches from some another, and that those had rewarded him with a double twine or twist over both shoulders for his labour, and which he, in disdain thereof, retorted them back with same double whip, and with a double seam rent in their breeches to boot.
Joyce, well brought about, Joyce, by my troth. For as the world now goes, there be many hookers abroad sue for other men's clothes by lower chamber windows. And when the other should purchase them home, they shall find them both torn and seam rent at the brokers, without bail or main prize.
How say you to that double twine or twist they gave him over both shoulders for his pains yet?
A double twine or twist signifies a counter breaching. Now, if he shall gain a counter breaching by this breaching other, he shall wear the double breeches himself thenceforth, and which will be a sign he shall not be breached more, but shall have the superiority over his own flesh and over his own bone ever after, and in time to come, therefore.
Well brought about thou too, by my maidenhead, Janekin.
Nay, I have read verse for verse the spell, and spell by spell with you for a groat, I warrant, Joyce. But now let us both in, for it is bedtime. I trow and our sweet mistresses may chance now call it bed.
Oh, by St. Gillian, well remembered effects, with yet the beds to make. And with my heart I wish my mistress bones may molly to cubent, Janekin mine.
If thy mistress desires softer couching than my mistress, if thy mistress desires softer couching than my mistress does, Joyce, I will give thee the better side of the bed this night upon the forfeit.
Then come away, for we have haste, I fear.
And come away you.
And they exit. So that was all perfectly clear. The two servants, while their two gentlewomen are sitting telling tales with the gentleman by the fireside. They're discussing dreams. They're analysing each other's dreams, and obviously they're both experts at analysing each other's dreams. So yeah. I mean, it does feel awfully, Freud won't come about for a long time, but there's quite a lot in there that I'm sure would enjoy rather a lot. So, tell me about your childhood.
These puddings you speak of.
Yes.
Yeah. That doesn't mean like a little cup of some soft dessert, as it does here in the States.
No. We're more in the sausage factory variety of pudding, presumably.
Yep.
So
Or bag puddings.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuffing going on here as well, and eating of things. I'm not saying that there's any other interpretation of what this stuff means, but
And the twine and twist over his shoulders, does that mean they whipped him? What?
Yeah. I say I think we shouldn't speculate too much about what's going on here until perhaps we finish the play, and then we can come back to it with fresher eyes. I think, because otherwise it's just it's a weird thing, and I think out of context it's not helpful. But I'll go to Dan briefly, and then Lynn, and then we'll move on.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, no, I just think this is one of those set-up comic routines to just show off a couple of actors. That people who come over to watch these types of plays. I mean, this seems very commedia dell'arte. I mean, lots of this stuff or Roman comedies. So I would expect this is just one of those types of setups.
Maybe. Alan.
Yeah, well, given it's a boys' company, we've actually not had that much explicit smut up to this point. And I think that one would probably be played as broad physical smut comedy.
Well, we shall see. Anyway, let's go to our final scene. Act 5, Scene 4. I'm going to be playing a lot of parts because I don't think I have any choice. So I'll be taking on Arvania, who doesn't say very much, but it just saves on some clashing. But I'll be also playing lots of other people as well, because I think pretty much everyone's in this scene, and it all gets a bit complicated. Act 5, Scene 4. A final scene getting complicated with lots of people turning up. Who'd have thought it? Act 5, Scene 4. Enter Olivel, Claribel, Floradin in forest liveries and armed with calivers, Ralph and Rook.
Gallants, how like you this military life? Say?
Better it is to be hanged abroad than at his own door at home.
Dowsabella and expertise. First get your broken pates, then tell us how you like it.
How likest thou it, Ralph?
Why, better than mead or metheglin.
Now, no more, but all like marshals of the camp while the camp lieth aloof. Search we all and several house in Colchester suburbs, giving them an express commandment, everything be in readiness against the fight, and to hang forth their lights all. So, first begin we with the tartan.
Agreed, Captain R. Agreed. So come on, sirs. Ifay, come.
Follow me, all you. Meanwhile, you two, take you here their guns. Wait you two here, our two sentinels both. Follow, I bid you come.
We do,
Captain. We do.
Claribel and Floradin hand guns to Rook and Rafe. Exeunt Olivel, Claribel and Floradin.
Look, whilst they search the house within door, shall we too search without door to keep us from idleness, say?
I think it best searching. We fall into our dike both.
The forecast is good, Mary. Yet I would teach thee a better exercise than that, sure.
What, Faith?
Let us sling and hunt up to the bats, Rook.
Soon slay we the men, not the mice, Rafe.
As how, say?
Let's rifle a man of his cloak, Sirrah.
In good sadness, let us. For the weather is cold by St. Anne.
But let us do it with a most manly and a right Herculean strength, Rafe.
Content, man. And therefore, till any come, let's have a song now, thereby to strengthen us both too, and our two bolts the better.
Come on, Faith, say and be hanged. Hercules, Hercules along, help our cart from forth the mire. With earnest vow and heart among, hand to wheel we then require. The jade stick fast low in the slow, their cart ropes be all to burst. Give them but thou one lusty hoe, straight thou they will be as at first.
Hey, gee, all carters draw amain, with the whip, with the goad too. Ho, knaves, ho, let her gone the rain, so shall we get no good now. See, now she comes off in a trice, the good Lord be blessed therefore, to Hercules or Lord and Price, be allowed evermore.
Sounds of quarrelling within.
I hear a noise within. Would all were well within door, I beseech the Lord God of hosts, Sirrah.
And I, in all sadness, lo!
Enter Floradin, Claribel, Olivel, Latro, Pearl, and Pigot, making a marvellous rut at their comings forth. Arvania, Dowsabella, Nim shift Pearl and Wright with Janekin and Joyce also follow easily after them and stealingly. We're all on at the same time. Good luck, everyone.
Forth, you fornicator! Forth, I say!
Forth, you damned villain! Forth!
Fornicator!
Gentlemen, be merciful to my guests. Yeah. Oh, lay forth your talent, Master Doctor, I beseech you. Oh.
Do but show you have the right use of reason in you, my masters, ho.
Gentlemen, quiet yourselves, for what's the wrong I have done you? Say.
Must thou be in bed, knave, with my wife in a box?
Did I know her to be thy wife? Thus must I assure you, gentlemen, where is she? Tro, there stands the captain, but honest how she be, I leave that to herself to show.
Is that thy wife, Floradin? I say he was in the same bed with my wife, and the other woman was my sweetheart in Harwich.
Claribel, I say he was in the same bed with my wife, and the other woman was my whore in Malden.
Latro, in good faith, was I such coarse crust in your mouth you must be tasting gingerbread now?
An accident worthy the chronicling, verily.
As it hath been since Duke William tripped on shore, I ween.
I tell thee, Floradin, thou hast wronged me.
Claribel, I say thou hast gone to me.
I say Latro hath played the knave with 3.
Jump! What a coil have we here, quoth our host.
If I have been at many kitchen songs in my days, yet I have never have heard like as this is.
By heaven, I will be revenged.
Aye, by Jove.
Latro, thou shalt have martial law without indicting straight.
Olivel, be quiet. I tell you true.
Gentlemen, let me see if so be by wit I may take up this matter between you 3 now.
No need, sirs, the custom such as you be ever speak for your customers.
Then let them be tried by the doctor, and be thou debarred. I tell thee, women, thou abusest me. I have been umpire of 40 cases in my days, broken pate, slashed faces, bloody noses, and yet was I never so denied of things in those days. Go thy way, for I am moved.
Stands on his feet and struts.
See how he strutteth.
Gentlemen, shall I inoculate this your colonel for you? Say,
Rather, master doctor, by next that come.
at your own good pleasures be it. Yet such a stinging apology I will have for you shall strike through a cap of fruit, i' faith.
So, sir,
Arvania, I little looked for this prank at thy hand when I first plighted and pledged thee my troth. A beggar?
Have pity yet.
You, Dowsabella, will be ranging, I do perceive well, when none but rangers walk about your bush.
Yet pardon me.
you, Olivel, will be turning tail, I perceive too.
I confess it.
By geometrical proportion, it is jump even. He should have lain between your 2 wives, sirs. As that his wife should have lain between of your 2 wives, their husbands.
And even parallel by the route. But hark, I hear the trampling of horse. Some be come, I hope, and end the controversy we be about. Stand we aside all.
We let us wait in this hole and observe when Pigot shall have the honesty delivers our bowl, since he is wholly satisfied for that the money we owe him now.
Come on, in faith.
And Nim and Shift Withdraw or Exeunt. Deus Ex Machina is about to enter, as there's just been signposted. I like the way I play. I hear trampling of horse. I hope some become, I hope, end the controversy we be about. Someone's hopefully going to turn up and close the play. So both of our heroines have been are in bed together with Latro, and during the scene when Joyce and Janekin have been presumably chatting about Freudian semi-sexual things. So I'm just wondering if during the previous scene all you can sort of hear in the background is weird sort of whoo noises or things like that. I wonder if that's the whole point of that previous scene, is they're not explicitly talking about the stuff that's happening off stage. I might be just being too clever about that scene. It could just be filler. But that's sort of my backward thought about how that scene functions, because it sort of seems to be referring or could be made to work in that way. Whether that's clear for an audience, God only knows. Lynn?
I was so busy trying to keep track of Pigot and Floradin, reading those. I didn't get a sense of what's happening between Latro and Olivel. He doesn't recognize her yet? Is that right?
I got the impression they had figured out who each other's was. Not initially, the first couple of lines, and then it was, yeah.
But she's in the bed too, so now he really has caught her doing something, or in a compromising situation.
No, she's the one who busted them out of bed. Because she's the captain, remember? So they arrived, Olivel, Claribel, and Floradin arrived to knock everybody up out at the middle of the night, or whatever. Because, you've got to be ready to fight for the oncoming. Remember, there's a war on.
Yeah, she was with the husbands. That's right. Whatever.
Yeah. So basically, yes, the wife and the husbands have found the husband and the wives in bed. So yeah. Awkward. Awkward moment. I mean, structurally, I have to say that it's an interesting situation to have set up, and it's clear that the playwright doesn't know precisely how to end this situation because they're bringing on an external character to sort it all out. But then, with farces, do they ever end satisfactorily? Because there's an element of bedroom farce to all of this that is interesting structurally. Okay, let's finish the play as the Deus Ex Machina has arrived. So, enter Denham from Harwich and Lacy from Malden.
Captain Lacy, whither away?
Denham, to the camp with my company.
I am commanded to signify thus to you, that your pains be void, and that the Spaniards be fled all, and that the army is returned.
Returned as how?
Lend but an ear, sir. I will relate it all unto you.
Say thy mind.
Scarce were the foes within the ken of land, or that they could discern that spacious bay that is encompassed by the shore of Plymouth, when Francis Drake, Lord Seymour, and the rest, all dressed in shining instruments of war, set forward with their fleet, the which no sooner was in shot of Culver, or that they could have reached others with their musketeers. But straight we summoned the foe to a fight, to get the first advantage of the day. The second hope of them, that mean to speed, straight naught was heard but drums and whistles, soundings of pipes, loud thundering of guns, clashing of armors, broken ribs of ships, yards, masts, hatches, decks, and cries of men, invoking loud the dreaded name of Jove. Then was the air choked with clang of trump, with darkness, horror, and obscurity, with thunder, tempest, terror, and roaring. You would have deemed Grand Lucifer then was boiling a breakfast for the damned ghosts. For had you seen the flight of sundry shot, cannons, calivers, and swift petronels, culverins, muskets, sakers, basilisks, harnessed with pikes of fire and steel, you would have termed them as many poles of fiends ready, with hooks to hale the misers unto the slaughterhouse of Dis. Beside Neptune, sole ruler of those raging seas, moved with indignation against the men, raised with forked mace the storming waves to aid his angry brother. But what? No force so violent may lastingly endure, much as their men, no sooner with the moon, had hemmed us adversaries. But straight the foemen did make all the means they could. Yet, with large effusion of their bloods to cheat our ranks, which when with prosperous event they had but once achieved, Sir Francis Drake, a mirror of that day, incensed with rage, summoned our ships to cast about, eftsoons all made amain with bonnets and with drabblers with foresails, their toppings and their spreads, and to every one their topsailed gallants pursuing in same plight, them dial about, till Charles Howard, admiral of the fleet, now seeing they had stolen to an anchor, he directed 8 vessels, but their stems, that rode together loose as road gave leave, armed with fire and tow, which in twink of eye severed and dispersed them, man and ship like scattered chaff before the chafed wind, but who by fire and sword then pursued by us with clamors, thunderings, and clangs of trumpets, now, like miserable, poor, tattered wretches, do lie all keeking on the shores of nations, with gaping mouths and wounds full ghastly wide, to the wonder of the whole world about, and of the which fact femina facti she is, and which I came hither to tell you it.
Gramercy, Captain, for thy news, but say, how many have we lost of ours?
Only 100 men, and 1 bark of cocks his.
Very verily, sir, the Lord hath fought the battle on our side. All thanks, therefore, and praise be to his holy name. But now let us into the tartan, for what with marching, what with the dust that hath been raised in my march, I am dry as a crust, Captain Denham.
Lacy, attend hither, I prithee.
Master captains, we do beseech your worships, both you would but vouchsafe us your worship's ears both. Sedibus haec imus res est non parva locatis.
Have the company anything to say to us?
They have.
And require our decisions of it?
They do.
Say on, come, and here the captains sit on the form both.
2 neighbours, dwelling on the hills of Essex, had 2 ewes, the fairest were in the country beside. Twice they came to the pale a day, 2 twins nursed they to boot, Now, sirs, so it fell upon a day, these two ewes went astray, the one ewe to the one neighbour, the other ewe to the other neighbour. They, little suspecting to whom they belonged, first milked them, after set them to prosecute their homes. The owners, finding their ewes to have been milked by other than by themselves, cast them off also. But within few days after, seeing they were not able to live without nourishment, both laid their heads together and stole a third man's goat, withal shared equally her milk between them. He, missing his good goat, took up these strayed ewes, and being not able likewise to live without sustenance, kept them and milked them indifferently by turns. To be brief, in process of time, these the three, driving one day their beasts to London, met all, as might be here, at the Tarleton in Colchester, where each being discovered by each, they impeached the one the other of theft. Edat hoc judice lis est. And therefore, Master Captains, we do desire your worship's several verdicts upon the case now, both.
I think it meet each took his own and departed.
Aye, they feed their bred beasts as plentifully, and in the same measure they did before.
Now, Pigot.
I was muted, sorry. Our case, just a pair of shears.
Gentlemen, does this tale concern any of you?
Sirs, never now be abashed for the matter, but take hands and say, we three, but...
But,
Truly, sir, it was a chance happened this night in my house. But I do well hope your worships will not think mine in any the whit dishonester for that.
Oh, no, mine host, we do not right truly, nor ever shall. Yet, gentlemen, since now the thing is blown, I would not sure you drooped for the same, whatever thing may happen. For you know, kings have worn Vulcanus badge, Aurelius, Atrides, Claudius, not only kings, but gods themselves also. Vulcan, Scythius, Mars, this then our decision of the case. Since that each thus have revenged each, you shall bind hands, and for I suppose 4 times you have changed, first from 2 to 2, then from 3 to 3, name the whole frump that hereon doth ensue. We do confess ourselves to be but errants. Be you agreed, say?
We be. Lo, I take Dowsabella again to bed.
I you.
In mine Arvania do wed anew.
So do.
Olivel, thou and I will not part, for better nor worse, I vow.
Agreed, too.
By fight that an honest man this well may be called true trigamy now. I do assure you all, my master's all.
And, gentles, with best glee to celebrate these happy reconcilements, tomorrow, if you so accept of so small service, we will be your convoy toward London, or...
All together now.
Thanks, Master
Thanks,
Captain.
Master Captain.
Master
and we'll
Captain,
attend you
and we'll
married.
attend you married.
Come on your ways, and follow this way all. Come. Here they arise. But stay!
Master Doctor, that your worship may well know that there is as much honesty sometimes in an innholder's head as there be beans in his garrets or hay in his lofts, so you would but promise pardon to the offenders. For a summary catastrophe of the whole jig or frump, I will help you to your bowl, lo.
The pricky see will betray us, since he hath now, as I told you, both our monies in his hand. Verily, this was the mad device thee spake.
Long as shift is shift, shift will shift for himself.
This my hand be thy prolocution's passport, Pigot.
He's gonna do. He pulls Nim. I pull Nim and shift forth both the whole both. Then note, these two were those gallants, and that in testimony of the same, lo, now do behold your bowl.
He takes the bowl from behind the arras.
What cacodemon, sirs, incited you to provoke my patience, huh?
Malasuda fames, Master Doctor, Malasuda fames.
that pernicious harlot Fames persuade you no more to like villainy, these shall be your dooms now. You shall immediately be banished both the town, with coats to your backs and monies in your purses. And if any time henceforth it shall so happen you be found return, then each you shall receive a jerkin apiece at the town's expense.
Be it so, and we do thank your good worship for it.
And Wright shall have his money.
Why, I do thank your very good worship for it. I will claw you, yeoman. A clock chimes. 6 o'clock. Follow, gentlemen all. Farewell, mine host.
First I will but set you on your way, after bid you adieu.
Thus to our powers we obtain in the vale from off our comic scene. If any the fault in broadness of the theme, we answer you, it is a comedy. And comedies, since the world have been, in most things have been broad. And to clap finer stamp on ruder coins would, in this circumstances, be as if you should gold lace to a Welshman's frieze, or mix a comet with a gilder's horn. But lest we should offend in some degree, I deem 'twill be nor crime nor slanderous sin. True, you would deem him, my host, Pigot's inn.
Sure you, sirs, I may not well so afford him.
Gentlemen all, fair all, now frolic all. He wafts them and moves his cap. But now we have some singing, so I'll ask Dan to be the men, and Sarah, if you could be the women, and I'll be the all, and we'll see what terrible chaos that ensues.
Along, along, gallants along.
We do come after all in a throng.
Not let neither stump nor stone hinder your pace.
No, we do ashore in any case.
Sing with heave and with ho, up to the city we go.
Nor canton nor doxy hinder your going.
For we have such foremen foregoing.
Pike, staff, and buckler hold, do you not fear?
Who would and have such champions to hear?
Sing with heave and with ho, up to the city we go.
The time to maintain, what shall we now sing?
What you will, what you please, anything.
As we go, all travelling up along.
Gentlemen, begin the song.
Sing with heave and with ho, up to the city we go. And thus closes the text. It's an interesting epilogue from Lacy. Just going, hi, it's broad comedy, folks. If you didn't like it, get over yourselves. Comedy, clues in the name. That's not good enough. Anyway, it's weird because, I say, a history play turns up, and I really liked Denham's speech. I mean, it totally kills the play dead in terms of what it was doing before. It turns up just this great bit of history play speechifying Nuncius Messenger explaining something that happened off stage, and I really quite enjoyed it, even if it didn't really fit. And then I know we all lost the will to live a little bit in the chat, I can tell. I did quite like Pearl's trying to explain the backstory via sheep. I thought it worked quite well, in the sense of, if you've got to explain the backstory, doing it again, but by trying to not explain what the thing was, it made it sort of nicely awkward and weird, and rather than just explaining the plot again. So I think that's the playwright trying to do something with an impossible situation.
He shouldn't have got himself into that impossible situation, though. I mean, come on.
It's plays like this always end like this. There's only so much you can do when you've got the way I'd end it is, the moment everybody's found in their trousers and things, and everybody's sort of going, you slept with you and you slept with you, and then they'd all sing a song and leave. That's how I'd do it. I wouldn't bother trying to wrap it up and just go. But hey, you've got to find some way of explaining to the Deus Ex Machina stuff.
I think the thing is, normally I'm all for sheep, But I think the thing about this was, there were two things about it. It coming on top of all the dreams that we just had. It was like, oh, for crying out loud. Like, seriously, have we not had enough of this guff already? But then also it was the fact that it was Pearl doing it. Because he has just been such a nefarious character. Like, if one of the servants had done it, done the exposition, if it had been Janekin or Joyce, like, maybe it would have been funny, but he has just been really quite grim. And the other thing that is really worrying me now, and I know it's just a play, but hey, everybody was on in that final scene. Absolutely everybody was on, but not Christian. Which makes me think the last time we saw her, she was fleeing off stage going, my God, my God, my God. And he was chasing her. And I know it's meant to be funny, but like, seriously, I think he's either killed her or left her with broken bones somewhere. And that's the reason she's not in this scene. And it's like, I just don't want another bloody great speech from him at this point at all.
Other thoughts. To be honest, I just washed out. I had no idea who was saying the speech. I just knew someone was doing a speech because all the names had started to blur into one as far as I could tell. Dan?
I feel like Pearl has to be set up, even in back in the day as well as today, that as a character of to be mocked. Just played very broadly. I don't think there's no way to get around the violence towards women. I think we had talked about this in the first session, how that could be just directed, I guess, out there or towards everyone versus towards one specific figure. I think that's the only way it comes across redeemably, not even necessarily redeemably, but you don't come away just feeling really grim every single time he's on the stage there. And I think if that tack is taken with this character, then the speech, if he's been made a buffoon of, or he's been laughed at by everyone else, it's kind of, I would think this would kind of be his moment where he's not necessarily confessing anything, or having some type of moment where you're supposed to forgive him, but at least excuse him, I guess, in some way for all of his bad behavior.
I think there's another point. I mean, just in the sense, the reason why Christian is not on is almost certainly a doubling thing. They almost certainly are on stage. They're almost certainly Denham or Lacy. Just simply because there's about 16 people on stage, and there is an upper limit to even. I think a boys' company plays sometimes can be reasonably expensive, but there does come a point when you start running out of bodies. In that sense, but yeah, it's. I mean, it's one of these things. It's structurally, on the whole, the shape of the play actually functions quite well. It's quite well structured in terms of the two plot lines and the where they're going, and each unit of action in each act is quite well considered. It's just, the nature of what actually happens is more of the issue there, and the way that lands. I mean, if you could just deconstruct Pearl a bit and that plot line and just tweak that so that you don't have that threat. I mean, he can be cross with his wife, but he doesn't have to be so bloody horrible. Then that does save a lot of problems, and you can trim some of those other bits back. Because otherwise, structurally, there's a lot of elements here which are structured like farce. There's an awful lot of people just sort of running on and off stage, hopping in and out of bed with one another. And everybody seems to be hopping in and out of bed with one another, including to a degree the servants as well, actually. That's something we haven't commented on this half. It hasn't been as explicit that the servants are all sort of at it as well. There's the dream diaries. Strange dream diaries. Anyway, we're into extra time. Final thoughts. I'll go to Emma, who hasn't been here for half the play. Any final thoughts about this one?
Yeah, it's just coming in at the end. Obviously, I was obviously you filled me in on your thoughts from earlier, and I decided to withhold judgment on Pearl. But yeah, as soon as I started reading that, I found it really hard to read. So yeah, that is quite a problematic area of the play, that whole section. However, there are parts of it that I really liked. I loved the husbands and Olivel dynamic, those three. Olivel in particular, I really liked her character. I just love a bit of cross-dressing and all of that fun. And yeah, I enjoyed the whole lots of the farce. So yeah, kind of a bit two halves for me, really. Parts of it I really liked, and parts of it would need to be looked at.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, it's just a matter of just excising quite a lot of what Pearl says, and things do improve, but do they improve quite enough? Dan, any final thoughts?
I had to do a Percy play. I've always been curious to see how it actually reads out, as he was an amateur playwright. This was one that was copied out much later on than it was performed, or if it was ever performed. It just gives you an idea of how if this was copied out after it might have been performed. It's interesting to see how all the stage directions and that he did incorporate into it, given that it would have been after a performance, because I would think that it's taking all that into account there. I do think it holds. I mean, structurally, I think it's pretty decently structured. I think that the last act was a little bit wonky, and I was getting lost myself there. But it's the kind of thing where if he had suggested at the beginning of having the signs out in front of each of the houses, so you know where everything's happening, and you can really just picture each of those little vignettes scene by scene, I think that I would be very interested to see how this would go. I think it's much more difficult when it's a reading to really follow all of the little strands within the two main plots there. But otherwise, I think it's an interesting play. I'd love to see some more Percy work.
Yeah, I mean, it's in a sense structurally, the ending needs a bit of directorial kick up the arse to make it work. But I say, how many plays have we seen which haven't have exactly the same problem? It's more the tone and the general nature of where the comedy is kicking that is the problem, I think, with this play. It seems to be where the issues mostly lie, but maybe I'm wrong on that point. Alan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, leaving aside the issues of the unacceptable behaviour, I think the thing could be tightened up. I'm not sure that Denham and Lacy coming back at the end adds anything to the Gaiety of Nations or to the plot itself. Yes, you've got that excuse for that lengthy war report, but that's got diddly squat to do with it, whatever else has been going on.
Yeah, he just needs to turn up and say, war's over. Yay!
You know, war's over with, everybody back as you were. You could trim that very extensively. The other thing that's intrigued me, and it's not concerned with the drama itself, but its origins, is that given that Percy is effectively from the Dukes of Northumberland family, I'm intrigued as to his knowledge of a part of northeast Essex, with which, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can recall, the Dukes of Northumberland had absolutely no connection.
Well, people move and travel. It's not that far away from London. It's not that.
Yeah, but it's on the road to nowhere, apart from the continent.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Do we believe that he's ever been to Harwich? Because I'm not aware of how many cliffs there are in Harwich.
There are some bits of high ground. Yes, I mean it's a haven harbour. I mean it's the mouth of the Stour and the Orwell. So you could legitimately describe some bits as being cliff-like.
Well, maybe, yeah. Anyway, one for another day. That's one to check up. Lynn, any final thoughts?
It has the structure of a comedy. That's it. That's the tweak.
Any more for any more? No. That's okay. Sarah, any final thoughts?
Not much really. In addition to what I've already said, I mean, I'm kind of frustrated by this play because I feel I really quite enjoyed the A plot, and I really enjoyed the servants, and even setting aside all my qualms about Christian, I did not find the B plot terribly engaging, really. The whole thing with the bowl, it kind of went nowhere. I was expecting the bowl to come back at the end and be used as a chamber pot or something, and you know, some really broad comedy there. That didn't happen. It was a fairly lackluster B plot, and I feel like this plays a bit of a wasted opportunity, because it could have been so good. The B plot could have involved the servants all kind of sleeping with each other as well. It could have echoed the A plot, but done subversive, fun things with it. And I don't know, there's so much in it to enjoy, but it just, for me, it didn't really go anywhere. But I suppose, you know, depending on how it was staged, it could be a fun thing to do, a fun thing to stage. I mean, it does kind of crack along. So yeah, maybe it would work on stage if you cut out some of the more abusive aspects of it. But yeah, a bit disappointed, really. I thought it was, when we started it last session, I thought it was going to go off in a particular direction that it didn't go in. So I'm kind of I'm having difficulty getting over my own personal disappointment and seeing it, you know, objectively in that respect.
Well, I think in regards to the B plot, the problem with, you know, in the sense the B plot does, it's aiming for a farcical setup, which it does enact, but because it's also enacting it with this sort of layer of additional misogyny that comes across so badly, is that the energy that is in there is just overridden by us by going just no. Because if it's just a family having a row because the bowl and everyone chasing around and no, don't do this, because that's the energy that it's going for, but it's coming down so flatly because we're just going, that's not funny, people. So in a sense, it is high energy and it is doing farcical things. It's just completely killed itself by the way it did it. Stephen, any final thoughts?
I think I'd probably just agree with everybody. I think if Percy goes to the theatre, he'd come back saying there was this great scene in it. You know, if you want to be, you know, very, very broad brush, he really likes the theatre, but he's got no idea about drama. You know, there's a kind of, you know, we're back to the idea of a kind of sketches, aren't we? You know, I get the feeling he's seen a lot of stuff in the theatre, and he's going to have a go at it, but he can't do architecture, and can't really do character, or perhaps isn't interested in either of them. What he likes about the theatre is the kind of review aspect of it, and that's, you know, so. As people have said, you know, there's kind of like bits of it are really good, but these bits last, you know, 3 or 4 minutes, and then they don't hook on to the next bit that's coming, you know, and he's not really bothered, or he's not good enough, or he's not trying to put them all together.
I'm not sure I quite agree with that point, in the sense that it does seem to say structurally it lays out its plot lines very well, and apart from the random dream scene, which, as I say, might be about people having sex off stage that you can't do more explicitly or something, that actually no, the various plot lines are quite well intertwined, and it moves, everything seems to move forward.
Well, I don't care about them. Really, I suppose that's it. So perhaps that's all I mean, is I'm very engaged in you know, the theatricality. I think if you want to put theatricality into a little box like that, I think he kind of gets it with that. But you know, as a play to engage, I didn't engage with it.
I think one of the problems, which we haven't talked about today, but we did talk about last time, is just actually the nature of the dialogue. There's something about it that just isn't landing for us. I think that actually slightly slides over us. There's this verbiage that's happening that isn't quite landing, and I don't know if that's a temporal thing of just time has passed on and we're just not connecting with it, or whether it's just doesn't quite join all the dots in the way. Because I remember last session, really struggling during scenes of just listening to the words. They were just sliding off the side of us. Lynn, then Sarah.
Yeah, bouncing off of Rob. Yeah, the syntax is very hard to parse. I didn't know what I was saying a lot of today. And, in response to Stephen, I mean, you kind of modified your stance there at the end, which comes closer to how I'm seeing it. He understands plays, but not drama. Exactly. He understands, he can see theater's form, but he can't do the substance.
Sarah.
Yeah, I just wanted to take issue with that thing about the dialogue and the syntax, because I actually really enjoyed it, a lot of it. I think somebody, might have been you, Rob, said in the first session that it was kind of quite, well, not reminiscent because it comes before it, but it was kind of foreshadowing restoration comedy, which is something that I really enjoy. And that kind of very wordy, witty verbiage is something I actually really enjoyed, and it's one of the things I really did like about this play. I was playing Dowsabella, and some of her lines were absolutely brilliant. I loved them, and some of the back and forth between the characters. So for me, that wasn't what was disappointing about it. For me, it was just like a wasted opportunity. I just felt it was going to go somewhere really good and really clever and really fun, and it just kind of didn't. But didn't have a problem with the syntax.
Dan, and then I will close the session.
Okay, I want to second that, actually. Just some of the back and forth that I don't want to start saying stick-a-mithy. I'm trying to think of another term, but the part that we opened up with, the exchange between the two, I just thought was brilliant, and it just flowed along very nicely. Even that really wordy, that really long speech that it gave us, the Deus Ex, it's the first time I read it, I had no problem getting my head around it at all. I felt like, I don't know how it came across, obviously, because it's not rehearsed, but in terms of understanding it, and it could have been, it was definitely layering on, like piling on certain images, whatnot, like overdoing it. But it wasn't to the point where I thought, oh my God, it's too much. Like, to compare to like a Johnson thing where it goes on for like 10 minutes when it could have been 3 minutes. This was 3 minutes when it could have been maybe 2 minutes. That's fine with me, because it wasn't bothersome. It wasn't so wordy that I had a problem comprehending it.
I have to say, this is one where I'm really curious to see how a relatively light trim, mostly to trim back the excesses of Pearl, how that actually fundamentally changes it, and getting it on its feet would fundamentally change how it's received. Because I think one of the big problems we've had is the moment it went down the much more explicitly misogynistic line that it did, and there's a lot of implicit misogyny that's still within a lot of the text, which perhaps can be massaged. I think immediately it becomes very hard just to accept any of it, and very hard to go, well, I'm just not going to engage with this because clearly the playwright has some issues. And so I'd be quite curious to see what that would actually do at some point in the future. We shall see. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. All that remains is thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. By the two puddings I make my conjecture.